it was a crowd pleaser for us. But thanks everyone for being here with me, and hope you have a great couple days. I'll see you Friday, God willing. And Deb, he's up next. Little
Hey,
Miss Deb, how
Chris.
you doing? How you
I'm all
doing,
right.
girl?
I'm all right. How are
Man, can
you?
you believe? My brain has been boggled by the news. There's so much going on.
Isn't it fun to
It's
look at
crazy.
the? Isn't it fun to see all the exploding heads?
Oh boy, yeah. Losing it. Oh my goodness.
Of
Yeah,
course.
there's people that are so, oh, Trump hates Israel now. They're fighting and yada yada, and just there's all these different things going on. And you know what Trump's doing over in the Middle East is the most protective thing he could do for Israel, really.
Yeah. Well,
But
it's crazy because I see all these people. Well, he lies. He lies. Yeah, as if Biden didn't lie too, or Obama. I mean, come on.
everything out of Biden's mouth was a lie.
What, everything about it, like, I mean, do you see that about Hakeem Jeffries telling DHS not to touch any of the members of Congress, Democratic members of Congress, or else they're going to come after DHS?
No. Oh boy, he threatened them? Did he now?
Yeah,
That's
I
like
mean,
I mean, if that's like waving a red flag in front of a bull as far as I'm concerned.
well, I mean, I was listening. I think it was, I believe it was either, I think it was Don and Don Vinci and Barb today. I believe I believe it. They played it on their show today. It's either that or the Tavern. And I mean, I'm listening to this because I listen to PSB on my way to work, and I mean the way the guy was talking, it was Maxine Waters 2.0. I mean, he was saying the exact same things as she said, what, 7 years ago, 8 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, it, it was it was nutty. And did you see that about? Oh my gosh, that fool that wanted to that what introduced 7 articles of impeachment, and his own
Oh,
party squeezed him out, and it's like he had to withdraw.
that the guy with all the hair.
Oh yes, it's like, where
Yeah,
did
what
they
a
get that person?
he could barely speak English, but he's a representative. It's like, who voted for him? We got to clean up the vote fraud. It is so bad.
Oh, I know. I mean,
We
it's
did that, we'd have most half of our problems would be gone, I think.
well, that, and then get rid of all the media, the Mockingbird media, and that
Yeah,
would take
yeah.
care of the other half.
Yeah, because the Democrats are pretty much assured they can say whatever they want, no matter how bad it is, the media will cover for them, and no matter how radical, they'll always cover for them. It's I imagine that's coming down the pike. Although they'll say it's our First Amendment right to lie. Well, you can go lie if you put it under fables, but if it's under news, it needs to have criteria.
Well, it should never be. It should have never been allowed that the media could use propaganda against the United States. That's just
No, it shouldn't. But it's been done for, I think, ever since the media was invented.
oh
It's kind
yeah.
of crazy. But what the thing is there needs to be a way of exposing the lies. Because if they go off, the lies go long enough, people think it's truth. Even people that are smarter than that, they don't do due diligence and research. What is like I was just talking to people tonight. I was going to play Missler how we got our Bible because yesterday I was looking at chat and there was the most preposterous, ignorant things being said out there by people who probably have never even picked up a Bible and read it, but they were all acting like they're an authority because somebody told them something. And it was mind blowing how it was just word of mouth that nobody countered. So they just kept repeating it until they all thought it was true. It was just crazy. And I thought, at some point you got to do your own research, folks. Um, you have to do your own research. And it wouldn't hurt to pick up the original, pick up somebody said, oh, well, the Bible, it's been rewritten so many times. They had all these excuses for why they were poo-pooing it. And it's like, well, you guys don't understand, number one, where you spend eternity relies upon your research skills and knowing if the Bible is true or not. And you better hope you get it right. Because if you're just sitting there saying that, well, oh, Jesus, he lived a long, happy life. It's like if you're sitting there saying that, you got big problems, folks. But yeah, they're looking at things and saying, "Oh, the Book of Thomas." I looked at the Book of Thomas. It's a bunch of crap. If you're a Christian and you start reading it, you know right away it's a fraud. Then it's the Book of Enoch. Oh, the Book of, well, which one? There's three of them. They're all frauds. Oh, but the Jesus quoted the Book of Enoch. No, he didn't. The Book of Enoch plagiarized Jesus. It's like, wow, these people, and that not all that was said yesterday, but I've seen these things said in chat over time, and it's like, time is so short. I worry about them. They don't understand they're being deceived, that Satan is a deceiver. I mean, you look at that stuff, and you compare that with what's going on in the news. How can you not think that these people can be deceived when the news itself is is plagiarism, if it's even factual, and then if it's not, it's all lies. So what's being said about the Bible, it's just sad. Everything is like all this stuff is all based on he said, she said, and lies, and it's very sad. People are being deceived, and they're going to go to hell.
Yeah, that's sad. That is sad. But and the crazy thing is, I think, is okay. You got secular people that said that Jesus was a is real. He walked on this planet. He died, and there were I mean, even the gospel said there were eyewitness accounts after he was resurrected.
Yep.
They got the baptism with the Holy Spirit, just like Jesus said. I mean, why would all these people die for a lie if it was not true? I mean,
Yep.
you've got secular records of these people. And what's even crazier, that even archaeology is digging up and finding
Hmm.
places that are only mentioned in the Bible.
Yes. And
And
they're just as quickly burying them again if the wrong people are around. It's Yeah, Satan's trying to hide everything. People don't understand it's a spiritual war,
no,
ultimately.
yeah, oh, definitely. Um,
Yeah. So
it was, yeah, definitely. And let's see, there was something I was gonna say. Oh, yeah, that's like that thing about the Shroud of Turin, and they're just now
hmm
saying that yeah, it's authentic. Well, they've been talking about the Shroud of Turin since the 90s, when you remember Unsolved Mysteries and
oh
Lower
yeah.
Stack.
Oh
And
yeah.
for people who were believers, there was no question. It's like, why are you doing all this testing? So,
Well, it's a fraud. If you read your Bible, you'll know it's a fraud immediately. You'll know it's a fraud. It's fake. Number one, when Jesus got up out of the tomb, the napkin that was wrapped around his head was separate from the shroud that he wore over his body, that they had put over his body.
mhm.
And number two, the Bible plainly states that there was not a single inch of his body that was not shredded by the cat and nine tails. And he was unrecognizable, physically unrecognizable. And three, his beard was pulled out of his face. Well, the Shroud of Turin shows a man plainly showing a beard. He doesn't have the wounds that Jesus suffered from the cat and nine tails. And the shroud is one piece and not two. So if you read your Bible, you'll know right away it's a fraud.
That's like, have you heard that the explanation about why the napkin was at his head? It was
I heard some excuses about it. Yeah.
well,
Oh,
it's
but it was wrapped around the top of the
no,
shroud.
no,
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 it
no, no, no,
wasn't.
no, no, no. One of the things I heard, and if hopefully I'm repeating it right, was it was a sign, because when you wrap your napkin and fold it, the way it was folded and laid aside, it meant that there was more to come, if that makes sense.
That was a symbol of something.
Uh
I
huh.
hadn't heard that.
Yeah, I can't remember how exactly it went, but it's basically that the napkin is folded. It was folded neat, and it it was a sign of there was more to come, that he's coming back.
I'd never heard that. The Bible's only a mysterious book if you don't read it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
If you're wondering, Mars, Jupiter, about things in the Bible, go watch Chuck Missler. He does a stellar job of explaining things in great detail with tidbits and historical artifacts and historical writings that will blow your mind. He did such a good job, and I'm glad that you go to YouTube and just type in Chuck Missler, how we got our Bible, and watch it. It's really good. I've listened to him for since 1993, and I listened to his stuff more than once, and I still learn stuff that I didn't learn. I learned things I didn't learn before. It's amazing. God blessed us with that.
well, Rick Renner. I don't know. Have you heard of Rick Renner? He's pretty good
Mm-mm,
too. I think he does.
mm-mm.
He did. He did a series on the seven churches. He talked about the synagogue of Satan,
Mm.
and what people don't realize is that they replicated the synagogue of Satan, and it went to Berlin for a time. And if you look at the Democratic convention with Obama back in, because I did a thing on that about what 2 years ago, I think, and they did they put at the DNC. So can't remember what year, but they had a replica of the synagogue of Satan sitting there on the
Mm.
stage.
I remember hearing something about something they had. I couldn't remember what it was. It's been so long ago.
Yeah, but I mean,
Yeah, it's interesting stuff.
but you can look that up too. You can find it. You can do a search, and it tells you that it was restructured in Berlin back in 18 18. It was late 1800s. So
Hmm.
it didn't necessarily stay there, but yeah, but Rick Renner, he does a really good. He talks about the different churches. He talks about the agriculture, the culture of the time, what they basically what they stood for, what they meant, and he does a pretty good dive.
Yeah, Chuck does too. He goes into the seven churches also.
I just don't have.
Um,
I guess I just don't have the patience to listen all the time.
you know
So.
what I do is I'll put like Mars Jupiter said I don't have the time. Everybody has the time. You're in here posting, you have time. Um,
Like I said,
but
I
what I
just don't
do
have the patience.
I like to multitask. So what I do is I will put it on as I'm cleaning the kitchen or washing dishes or whatever I'm doing in the house, making the bed. I put it on and listen to it while I'm working. So I get to listen and it makes the chores less tedious. Mopping the floor, whatever I'm doing,
Mm-hmm.
I have it on that I can listen to it. And it's you get hooked on it pretty quick because the knowledge base is just it broadens your understanding the Bible so much. In the car, you can put it on, you can listen to it in the car by just downloading it to a file and playing it in the car while you're traveling.
Mm-hmm.
But it's well worth knowing because it helps you understand what's happening right now these days, watching things that are happening over in the Middle East, how things are being set up. You're seeing, oh, did you hear about the big earthquake in the or was it off Crete? Off the coast of Crete was it to this morning, I think.
No, I haven't
It
heard
was
about
a
that.
7.2, I think. It was big. They felt it all over the place. And Trump was over there when that happened.
Hmm.
I think they said they could feel it in Jerusalem. They could feel it in Lebanon. They felt it all over Turkey. It was pretty interesting. A big one.
Well, I don't know. Maybe they were collapsing a tunnel. I don't know.
Yeah, Heidi said she likes listening to Chuck while she's doing stuff too. Yeah, it's he's got a lot of information and it kind of helps focus your mind on things because you can read a passage in the Bible and maybe not get it, and then you listen to his because he covered the entire Bible, and you listen to his dissertation on that particular section. It's like, wow, it makes it like 3D. It's really amazing.
Mm.
I gained a huge appreciation for the Bible after listening to him.
Well, I tell you what, Davey, by doing my recordings on going through the Bible the way I have, it also it just, I mean, everything that's happening, and I'm like, who was it? Someone was saying, oh, uh, can't remember who it was that was saying it, but Israel, yeah, Israel is a nation, the nation of Israel. It's there's two Israels, I guess you could say. The nation of Israel is based on the sons of Jacob, who became Israel. God promised the land of Canaan and certain boundaries to the nation of Israel. And that's what a lot of the fight is about. A lot of the fight is also about their relationship with God. They're being the chosen people. God set us apart. He set the nation of Israel to be different than the pagan nations. And that's the reason why they hate them. And, of course, by now, you've had the intermarrying and the bloodlines, the bloodlines being the descendants kind of been mixed. But I mean, you had the same thing in the Old Testament too, with Rahab and Ruth being in the same line of King David and Jesus. So I tell you what, I just was it yesterday. I did the whole thing with Bathsheba and King David and the consequence of that, and we're going to get into some really deeper stuff even coming up because we're going
Good.
into David's son Absalom, and if there was one thing David was really weak with is was his relationship with his family and his women.
Yeah. Yep.
He had the same issue with women that Samson did.
Yep.
Samson's the last judge.
Yeah, we just read through that as our daily Bible reading. We just went through how Absalom died and all that stuff. And poor David, he was freaking out about it. He paid dearly for his sin. The thing that when he killed Uriah, God demanded a penalty for that,
Mm-hmm.
and that was his sons.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's an interesting story when you go all through that. It all plays into future events too.
Well,
Today is the anniversary. Today's Israel's birthday, May 14th, 1948. They're 77 years old. And the generation that sees Israel return to their land will not die before Jesus returns. And he returns at the end of the tribulation, which is 7 years. So that'd be 84 years old. If Jesus, or if the tribulation started tomorrow, Israel will be 84 years old. Most people don't, that's 84 is about an average lifespan for people. So if you're a baby born at the time Jesus or that Israel became a nation again, and we're getting close, folks. We're getting close to the rapture time and the tribulation. We can see it setting up right now. Ezekiel 38. A lot of scholars think that Ezekiel 38 happens before the tribulation and before the rapture, even. We don't know for sure, but it's gonna be interesting. We're seeing it set up. Trump's setting things up in the Middle East as we speak.
mm, yeah,
But
it's
yeah, Isaac Newton was the one that figured out the timeline on that. There was a prophecy 2,600 years ago, and it's in the Bible that said when the Jews would return. The mathematician that he was figured out what the date was, and it was May 14th, 1948. He knew about it back in the 1500s. Isn't that interesting?
mm,
So when people tell you that, oh, that's not the Jews' land, well, the Bible begs to differ because they're there, and it had people that they returned on that very day that was prophesied. So who else would it be? Of course, it's them.
Well,
There's no denying it.
look what Bush made. Well, I say Bush made the Israelites, but it happened under him. And like someone, like the timing of that. Once the Israelites, or I know they call them Israelis, but uh, once they gave up Gaza back in 2005, look what happened. Katrina happened.
Yeah. God didn't like that.
So,
Every time they cede land, God spanks them pretty hard, but every time they go to war, they win more back. The promised land is the same area, almost identical to Obama's Levant. Remember, he was talking about the Levant, the land of the Levant. That is the promised land, and the Muslims are trying to claim it.
um,
And it's very interesting to find out. The Bible, if you read the Old Testament, tells you the parameters of the land.
oh yeah, I mean, I've even put maps in my recordings
Good,
on.
good. Yeah, it's good to
I
see that.
and I even when I was doing before the archives messed up and I was doing the Bible reading here, I showed side by side what the Old Testament map looked like versus the New Testament. I wish I could have done side by side. I don't know how to do split screen, so I could do both.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean it's nearly, I mean, it's there. I mean, nothing's really changed
I
that
love
much.
maps. Yeah, I love maps. I like Sergio and Rhoda because when I first started watching them, it was really nice to see what Israel actually looked like because I've never been there, but to see all the places they go to, the different landmarks and the historical sites, and excuse me, they put all over Israel and videotape it. They do like blogs, really well done. Excuse me, really well done, and it's just a lot more different. It's different, more different than I thought it would be. It's very dry, rocky, kind of a hostile land, but it's greening up from what it used to be. The cities are pretty. Yeah, it's fun to see what it looks like there. To think, especially Jerusalem. Go look at Jerusalem and see that's God's city. That's Zion. That's his Zion. It's
I
very
know
interesting.
there's about two or three churches in this area that are getting ready to go in November. I wish I could go.
Yeah,
I wish I could afford to go, but and
it's expensive.
I'd
I
have
know
to.
I can't go. I just wait. We'll be there one day, just not now.
Uh,
That's what
well,
I figured.
I
I'll be
might.
there one day.
That is on my bucket list is to go to Jerusalem one day. But yeah, there's. I wish I could afford it. I need to renew my passport's coming up for renewal, and but talk about
Yeah.
renewal and timeline. I only have like 15 more days for school, and then school's out,
Oh wow.
and then I mean it's like this
15, huh?
15 days, 15 school days
Woohoo.
to go, and I'm like, ay, 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 ay. I mean, can you believe I mean, May's almost done. May's almost
We're
done.
half over already. Yeah, we're half over. The year's almost is like I just remember it seemed like just like a couple weeks ago that we were like at a quarter through the year already, and now we're almost halfway through the year.
And I tell you what, also, talk about have prices been coming down for you, or are y'all still in the same boat?
Oh, gas is still high. I haven't bought eggs. I need to go to town and buy some eggs because I'm doing a carnivore diet and we go through a lot of eggs on that. Last time I bought eggs, they were like, what was it, $6 for 18 of them?
Mm. My daughter just
That
bought
was at Costco, so that's probably the cheapest place.
my daughter just bought 24 egg or yeah, so 2 dozen eggs for $6 over at Sam's Club. So that's pretty cheap because
Oh wow.
that's like
Well,
40
yeah, it's been
that's like 40 cents an egg.
Wow. Yeah, I'm trying to think the last time I bought eggs was probably 3 weeks ago. When was I in Spokane? Oh, it was right. Yeah, it was Easter, the day before Easter. I was in Spokane and bought stuff. That's when I bought that stuff. Um, but I used to buy 5 dozen eggs at a time, and they would cost me like $9 or $10. And the last time I looked, I think they were 30. I haven't bought eggs at Walmart for a long time, so but I'll probably go in tomorrow and find out, get the bad news.
Which is, yeah, it's kind of weird because Walmart is still kind of high. But and
Yeah,
Walmart is a subsidy of of Sam's Club. It's owned by the same group,
yeah,
which doesn't
yep.
make sense. But but
I
I
guess it depends maybe where you're located and all that too.
maybe, but I know that and we need President. The thing is I know in my area, I can't speak for all of California, but in my area, the the gas prices dropped about 30 cents, stayed set steady for about 2 weeks, and as soon as President Trump tweets that the prices are coming down, it goes back up. I can
That's when ours went up too.
do you I mean, so look at the timing. I start seeing patterns. Okay, so here's a couple of things to consider, and I've lost my thought. One is I so back in the 2000s, in the 2000 teens, one of the things I noticed when I started working with the financial group I used to work for, the Wall Street group. One of the things I realized is when the market was up, so was gas prices. So when the market was down, so were the gas prices.
Hmm,
And
hmm.
and also you had of course, also historically speaking, when oil prices come down, so do gas. So it's been all tied together, right?
Mhm.
Now that you're seeing the markets going up, gas prices are going up, even though historically speaking they should be going down. Makes me wonder
Yeah,
if we haven't moved off the petrodollar in some form or
yeah.
fashion.
It could be that the falsification. Yeah. Well, also you have that idiot at the Federal Reserve, that's refusing to drop interest rates because as long as there are high interest rates, you've got massive inflation. They're overprinting money, and that causes inflation too. And that's
Mm-hmm.
I'm anxious for the day when they dissolve the Federal Reserve, because I got thinking this guy's the second or third time he's denied Trump of dropping the interest rates. And I think Trump's finally just going to say, you know what, we're just going to dissolve the Fed and put a bug into Congress's ear and make them get rid of them, because Congress created the Fed. They need to get rid of the Fed. They're supposed to be printing money. They're supposed to be coining money, not private company.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hoping that's what happens, but I do know that he said something about getting rid of it. So we'll see.
Okay, so now I remember what I was going to say. Do you remember? I mean, there was a time about 20 years ago when gas prices, yeah, in my area, and when I was living in Texas, you could almost count that if there was going to be a price increase or drop, it would happen on a Thursday. I guess
Hmm.
that's when all the tankers would be filling up the gas stations, right?
Oh,
Nowadays, I mean, it's literally within 24 hours, it's changing practically overnight.
yeah. Yeah. Here. Yeah.
I mean, it's
Yeah. It's ridiculous. And
it's
you live in a blue state just like I do too, so it's going to be a lot higher.
well, I mean, even on base, I mean, right now, they just opened up a new gas station, and right now it's the cheapest at $3.99 if you pay with either cash or debit. And the
Huh.
base got down. It was coming down, and then all of a sudden, it's going to go back up to 444. I mean, it within 2 days, it went from what was it, 411. Then it went to 418, That's been over a span about now it's back up to 443. I mean, it literally in the last since Monday, it went from 419 to 429 to 439, all within just like hours of each other. And it's
Well, Newsom's talking about jacking it up to over $8 a gallon.
well, that's because Newsom has, Newsom's. Yeah, I don't understand these people who actually think that that California has the fifth largest was it economy. No, they
Economy.
don't.
It used to be. It used to be. I don't think they do anymore because all the big businesses are moving out.
Well, I don't think it
Look at
ever.
Elon Musk pulled up. Well, when
I
you
don't.
used to
I,
have when your valley had all the trees, the almond trees and the olive trees and all the farmland and all the cattle. I remember driving down there in the 80s, and it was just agriculture from the north end all the way down to the grapevine. It was green and it was industry just humming. And then you had the big businesses in the cities. It's like, yeah, I could see it being that. There's a lot of money generated. And just think about it. The filthy pigs that got into Sacramento plundered
no.
all of it. And they're
Well,
breaking the back because in order to become a communist nation, they have to get rid of the middle class. And that's why they're doing what they're doing. They're trying to do that. And they're trying to also bend Trump's arm into giving them money
mm-hmm.
because, oh, we need money for this, we need money for fires, we need money for schools because their US aid money's gone. Uncle Sugar cut off
Well,
the
that's
spigot there.
well, I mean, maybe 40 years ago. I remember when in the 90s when Arnold Schwarzenegger was a governor and it was kind of a joke because I worked for the Texas state government. And, we heard about how California was so broke, the government was so broke
Hmm.
that
There's no excuse for it.
they had to give the state employees IOUs. I
Yeah,
mean,
there's no excuse for that because the taxes they pull in are obscene. They're stealing the money. Look at Karen Bass. I mean, they're all destroying because they work for Satan. Some of them knowingly, some of them not, but they work for Satan, and Satan is the destroyer, and they are working to destroy everything they touch. Washington State's in the same place. They had a massive budget and they overspent by $16 billion.
right.
16 billion. And
Well,
so they just passed a tax increase, the biggest one in our history.
I mean, Newsom's had to steal money from, oh gosh, one of his pet projects. I think the railing project, because
Yeah.
the USAID money has to uh, to fund his immigration project, and now that immigration project is billing up, and I don't know if this is true. Well, okay, yeah, I don't know if this is true or not, but I saw somewhere where he supposedly is going to sign some sort of order that it's going to be against the law to flush toilet paper down the toilet. I don't, like I said, I don't know if this is true. I mean, it's like, come on, he's
I
the
wouldn't
governor.
put anything past him.
But I mean, and it's got to be your used toilet paper has to go into a recycle bin. That is so nasty.
I don't, I, it, I wouldn't put anything past him. I don't know if he plans on doing that or not, but I wouldn't put it past him and the other idiots.
Yeah,
It's just like COVID. They just did it because they could to push people around because they thrive on control and power over others.
yeah.
They
This
get
is
off on it.
yeah. Yeah, it's supposed to take place in January 2026. I'm like, oh goodness, thank goodness that we're going to be out of here by around then. My daughter's duty whatever her duty time is coming up, and it's going to be
Oh
time to
wow.
move time to move in a
Going back to
no we're going to
Texas.
be
Better be
going to
careful. Texas is
no we're going to be
going down
going
a
to she's
crapper
going to be
too.
going to another state. We just don't know exactly yet. She hasn't got her orders yet, so
Yeah, the
but
Muslims are taking over Texas. The Muslims and the
yeah, some
unelected uh
yeah
Democrats.
supposedly Abbott is supposedly stepping in on that. I don't know, but the reason why I say the fifth largest economy, that may be 40 years ago, but now, I mean, they get their money through the wildfires, through
No,
FEMA, through, I mean, even not even
yeah,
FEMA.
it's federal money.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, think
Which
about it.
should not be going. We shouldn't even have that because that's not when the founding fathers made the country, the states took care of themselves. We didn't have a federal government that would give grants and such that you had to, they give you a grant, but it's never free. If they give you a grant, you have to agree to have a 15-minute city. If you get a grant, you have to put roundabouts in where they shouldn't be. There's all these strings attached, and that's why they were never constitutional. None of this stuff. And that's why Trump's trying to get everything back to the states. If the states screw up and spend all their money, too bad. You shouldn't have done that. You're on your own, as it should be.
Yeah. Well, don't believe what you hear about California economy being the fourth largest or fifth largest. It's not. Guys, I mean, I know some of y'all do live here, but come on, you have to, I mean, I mean, you
It
can't,
could have been, but it's not. There's no way it is now. California's not just
no.
broke, but they've got so many regulations. They've pushed most businesses. They pushed businesses out of the state from high taxation, but the regulations too. Remember, Elon Musk told President Trump, he says, "I could have had my business bigger and better and sooner, but the regulations prevented all that."
Exactly.
And so Trump understands that being a businessman, and that's they do it because they're stealing your money. Remember what happened during COVID where Newsom was? He was yucking it up at his vineyard having parties, and everybody else was in lockdown, and they just loved every minute of that.
I mean, don't get me wrong.
They're evil, disgusting people.
Don't get me wrong, but I mean, California is a pretty state. There's a lot of land here, and
Yeah,
don't get,
it is. I
and
love
they're
California.
actually starting to build. I don't know what they're building, but they are building stuff in this area too. I mean, they're tearing up the land and building something, but don't kid yourself in believing that it's a fourth or fifth economy. It's not, because you wouldn't.
No, it's
You,
not now.
I mean, I work for I work my job is based on grant money, or it was based on grant money, and part of the grant, the stipulations of the grant, I can't work more than, I can only work like 999 hours in a year.
Hmm.
You know, I mean, it's I'm limited to how much I could work, actually. And I mean, there's so much to it. And now that the lunch program is going, I mean, they're having to restructure stuff with the school system. I mean, and it's what they call Star One school, which is probably one of the lowest ranking school districts. And it's just, part of that has to do with the immigration issue. And
Yeah,
that's part of it. I'm not saying that's the full, but it's part of it. And it's just, so don't, I mean, right, I'm kind of right I'm right smack dab in the middle of it. So I see things. I see how it is.
yeah. Yeah, and I think that, well, I know my Washington State, the governor said that, well, we're not going to be getting any federal money, so we got to jack up the taxes because they will never cut back when there's communists in office. So they don't plan on not being a sanctuary state and having sanctuary cities. But President Trump has other ideas, and I think they're going to bend over and take it from Trump
Well,
because he's going after them. And I think it's going to be the same in California. He's already said he's coming after them. So when that happens, you get your illegals cleared out, you're going to have a whole different situation because you're going to have your property values are going to drop because you're going to have a lot of vacancies that weren't there before because they just spent trillions, several $1 trillion building and buying up places for illegals to live. And I can't imagine what the deals are they made with these luxury hotels that they were putting them in. So you're going to have a lot of vacancies, and so land prices are probably going to drop. but that'll be temporary,
Oh yeah,
and
I
people
mean,
will have nicer places to stay.
sorry, I keep stepping over you, but that's like
That's the
Newsom. Whatever that proposition that was supposed to help with the homeless. It didn't go to help to the homeless, and now they want to put the homeless in
no.
like modular houses. I mean, tiny houses, like you
They're
know
pulling that crap here too. Same
the
thing. The doctor, there's a local doctor. Oh, the poor homeless people. We need to build them tiny homes. They don't have a place to stay. It's like they don't want a place to stay, dummy. Anyway, he started doing all this stuff, making homeless camps and all this stuff. And next thing you know, they're burgeoning. They're busting out at the seams, and crime has gone insane because all the bums that they kicked out of Spokane. Oh, well, there's up there. We can get free housing. So yeah, he's been building tiny homes, and it's going to drive all the real estate down around those places because nobody wants to live by those. They, even if they're living in a place, they've got bags, they've got garbage on their porches. I mean, they're druggies. They're alcoholics and druggies, and they've got mental issues from whatever it is that's creating the drug problem in their head. And it's under we need insane asylums. We need asylums to treat these people and try to help them there instead of letting them just roam about on the streets. One lady got hit by a semi about 3 months ago, and I saw the video. It just blew her apart. She walked right into it, poof, just like a pink mist. It's like, yeah, there we go. Let's get more of that. Let's have more of that. I can't imagine the trauma that the ambulance crew and the trucker and everybody that had to see that, what they went through, because some nitwit doctor as a do-gooder figured he'd help. I understand they don't want people to have to live in the cold, but those people have chosen the way they live, and it's sad. It's a whole thing's sad. If they had not legalized drugs, they'd be in jail, and they'd have three hots and a cot. It's disgusting what the leftists have done, and it's communism because everybody will end up in that situation at some point.
wow. I mean, these
Yeah,
are like
Mars, Jupiter, I agree.
well, these are like about the size of those, the port containers. If you go to the ports and the
Yeah,
shipping
like a tiny
containers.
home. Those are actually big. Those are big compared to the tiny homes. Yeah, a lot of people actually make those over into places like they'll make them into camping places, and I've seen a lot of people do things with them.
Yeah, well, again, I wouldn't. The state has announced that plans to provide. Yeah, right. It plans to provide, but don't believe it. It's not going to
With
happen.
what? They're broke.
Yeah,
Yeah, they'll say
exactly.
we need the money for this. They'll say we need the money. We need $10 billion for this, and then nothing will. It's just like the light rail that they had for Southern California. They never would they build not even a quarter mile of it,
Well,
a
that's
couple
because
hundred
it went
feet.
back into Newsom's pocket, and Newsom's having to
Yes,
take it out of his
exactly, and it's the
pocket.
same thing with all the money. So whenever they do something like that, and well, Biden with what was it he was supposed to do? Make 20,000. What was it? Well, the hookups, the internet hookups that never had any hookups. That was Harris's thing. They get out there and put that out there, then the money gets in the coffers, and then it just disappears like magic. And these people get richer and richer, and they just figure they're untouchable. Yeah, veterans need help. They need a lot of mental help because of what they purposely did to them during the Gulf War. They purposely, the shots they gave them, the oh they I found out that they, a long time ago, that they were sending soda pop to the Middle East to the soldiers, and they let them sit in these crates out in the sun, and the cans got above a certain temperature. I think it's 110 or 111, and the NutraSweet turns to formaldehyde at that temperature, and it was poisoning them. And then all the shots they had experimental crap in them, so they came back messed up, suicidal, the things they made them do. And some of them went over there. I remember in Vietnam, if you went to 2 tours, that was extremely unusual. My uncle got sent over 3 times, and I think he almost held a record. You just didn't do that. And some of these guys during the Gulf War and all these other wars, they're not wars, they're conflicts, but they sent them over like 15, 20 times. It was unheard of. You never did that. They never had a chance to get their minds straight. Hideous, hideous things that the government's done to our people.
Hmm.
And you got Fauci's people like Fauci hidden in the corners doing evil, filthy things.
Yeah.
It's just it's all satanic garbage trying to tear down our nation because it's a Christian nation. So Satan's coming after it. That kind of makes sense when you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's sad.
But oh yeah, I
Very
was gonna
sad.
ask you, do you think we'll ever go back to pre 2020 prices like with toilet? I, you know, but the more I buy toilet paper, the more I'm wondering why, if they're gonna convince people to panic buy, why toilet paper?
That was an experiment, I think. It was a mental thing because the first thing I ever saw, well, second thing, first thing they showed on TV were the Chinese people tipping over in the streets, and they're telling you that's COVID. Oh, and you can't, you had to you couldn't stop it because the incubation period was over 2 weeks. So you'd be around people and have it and be carrying it, not even know you had it. That was their excuse for lockdowns. The whole thing was planned, psyop, a big psyop. And there was no proof that these people that tipped over dead were dead or that they died from COVID. There was none of it. But that started about July or August of 2019. And then what I saw in the United States that, oh, COVID's here. And I remember watching, it was like a surveillance video, totally staged in a place like Costco where they have those flatbed things that you load things up on. And there were people that had stacks of the bricks of toilet paper, like 10 of them, five of them, racing, running. They were running in all different directions in the store. And that was the most set up, orchestrated, scripted piece of crap I ever saw. They were racing all over the store with toilet paper, big bricks of toilet paper, hoarding the toilet paper. And I thought, okay, why are they showing that? They were trying to induce panic with it. Why are they showing that? Because COVID is a lung problem, not a butt problem. It wasn't something you would need toilet paper for.
I know.
So it was like it was a psyop. It was all a psyop. It was done on purpose. It was an experiment on the American people with the consent and participation of our mainstream media
Mm-hmm.
and our government. There are these people. Yes, I do think that prices are going to go back down again. That's why Trump's trying to get the Fed, he's trying to wrest control out of their hands, which they should never have had it to begin with. But once they get the interest rates back down, things will start dropping again. The prices will go back down again.
They'll have no choice,
They
I
always go
hope.
up and they always see a fluctuation. Pardon?
I said, hopefully they'll have no choice because this whole thing that like I said, the gas going down for about, about go steadily down for about 30 cents for, and then stay steady. I mean, there's like two or three gas stations that were staying steady for like at 4.75 for like 2 weeks. And the moment President Trump tweets, oh, prices are coming down, the very next day, within 2 days, it was going back up. It's back up to almost
They did it
$5.
here too. That was your governor. That was your governor. That was your communist governor. Wine did it too. It had nothing to do with the prices. They just jacked it up to make Trump look bad,
Well,
and to make more money.
I figured that, but I mean, it's like it's ridiculous. But I'm thinking, I say, what were the prices of toilet paper? I think I could have gotten like a pack of 6 or 9 for like 2.50 back in 2020. It's like
I always
it's
buy mine at Costco. Yeah, so I don't know what it is for single, but for a Costco brick of it, it used to be like $12 and it's 20 now.
it's
Everything went up. I mean, and if you've got, like somebody said years ago, if you've got it, a truck bought it, and when you think about that, if you've got high diesel and fuel prices, it's going to cost more for the product because that has to be passed on the consumer. And it goes to everything. It goes to toothbrushes, building materials,
mm,
shoes, cat food. Everything costs more because the gas is higher. And in states where the gas is cheaper, you're going to have cheaper prices for gas and everything else. It's just everything's relative to that. But the false uh, inflation with the with the Fed pulling out garbage, housing, and like you got buildings, you've got businesses that have to pay rent on storefronts, and the rent is higher because the interest for the building is higher for the owner who's renting it to you. All that stuff gets massively passed on. But Trump also has made the comment that, oh, he said to buy stock. If I want to buy stock, I don't know how to do it.
You can just
But I do want to buy some. I don't know. Huh?
you could buy and go just make an E-Trade account, go to E-Trade. You could do it on your own. And
Oh, really?
yeah, you could do it on your own. Just go to E-Trade, open up an account. I think you have to have 250 as a startup. And
Mm-hmm.
listen to what President Trump, he talked about Whirlpool. And of course, I'm not a tax advisor, but uh, when it look into like Whirlpool, Kodak, and of course you can look into Truth Social.
Kodak?
But if you have about $250, you can open up something. I I would stay. Personally, for me, I would stay away from the crypto, all that crypto, the Bitcoin stuff. But that's me. I don't like all that.
I put a little bit in that. Yeah, I put a little bit in that because he did say to buy crypto, it would get lots of return on it. He said that 2 years ago. But then Elon about 2 months ago said, don't get into crypto, you'll never make money. So I made money. I made a couple $100 off of it. I mean, it was fun. It wasn't anything, it was not earth shattering, but Trump said stock market's going to go sky high, and I believe him. I believe him. So he says buy stock. He says you guys got to get in there and buy some stock. And I don't. And they might have said that to get people to do it to help the economy. I don't know, but I don't. I know I'm not going to put anything in there that I can't afford to lose. It's not going to be very much, but
Yeah.
just something to have there, just to say I did it and see how high it'll go, and just
Well,
might help me pay for my property tax one year. Who knows?
the best thing to do is if you're gonna go in do a let's see. I mean, I would go personally. My boss is like always go. Usually goes conservative. Of course, he likes mutual funds. He doesn't like he stocks are usually for your for people who have the money to lose. If you
Yeah,
don't have the money to use, he usually went with mutual funds. Uh, but I know someone. She's like yeah. You take it for what it's worth. She bought. There was three. There was True Social when it went public. Kodak.
hmm
I think she did Whirlpool, and there was another one that was a foreign stock. I can't remember what it is, but she's like, "This is what the Holy Spirit told me," and da da da. So,
Oh,
but
kind of surprised that Kodak is one because they were really, since film has gone the way of the dinosaur and it's all digital now. I'm
yeah,
surprised that Kodak is clinging on.
but they're getting yeah. I think they're branching out into other things. So once that explodes, then
Okay,
but
interesting.
but like I said, I'm not a financial advisor, so I'm not
Yeah,
advising
yeah,
anybody. This is just what I've heard. You look into it, do your research. But
yeah.
yeah, but all you have to do is have just open yourself up a E-Trade account, and you can do it on your own. You don't have to go through a broker.
Hmm, okay. Yeah, I
I
just
mean,
figured I'd just throw a little bit in there and play with it.
because broker's going to take a commission. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
ooh, I shouldn't have said that. But
Well,
yeah.
everybody knows they do that. Well, they even take a commission if you buy crypto.
Hmm.
They take a commission out of that. They take a percentage of whatever you buy, and then it's a really weird setup. A percentage, depends, like if you buy a certain crypto, oh, you stupid cat, go. If you buy a certain crypto, and you think, okay, it's only gonna be $3.50. No, it's more than that because the crypto might go up or down. It's some kind of a span, or I don't know, some kind of a weird thing they do. But it's just kind of a there's always somebody with their hand out that has to take their cut. Let's put it that way. And it's just like everything else in life. Somebody's always wanting a chunk of it.
Well, last year when I
I
quit,
like Amy's Nazi chat rules there, Ricky Roush. I think they're very fair. Screw up twice, you get put in timeout twice, and you get busted one more time, you're out. That's more, that's probably more generous than people deserve. Anyway, yeah, so um yeah, that's gonna be interesting to see what happens. But I do believe prices are gonna come down overall. Maybe not in states like what we're living in. They'll probably come down a little bit, but not like others. Yeah, I think everything's going to come back down into more reasonable price, and I think people will be getting more money. Remember President Trump said he was going after China for reparations for what COVID did to our
mm-hmm.
country. She's exposing herself. She's exposing you. Nice try though. Um, it's I think people will be making more money. I think things are going to be cheaper again. If that his plan is that anyway. We'll see if it goes through. If the Democrats can keep their
Well,
hands out of it, we'll be all right.
when I see these people like in Texas and other states, and there's like gas prices are up. It's 250. I'm like, you're so lucky. I wish I could have.
Yeah, it's
I wish I
409
had
last time I
gas
looked.
prices at 250. My gosh, that
Yeah, me
I mean
too.
that would literally cut my gas budget in half.
When Obama got into office, gas was under a buck a gallon.
Hmm.
Think about that. And Trump he got it down to like a buck 20. He says, well, I want the drillers to make some bucks. He said, we're going to keep it above. So they can control how much it is. But I remember Trump saying, well, yeah, we're going to keep it at this level because, those drillers and all those guys, they got to make a living. So it was kind of interesting. But yeah, I don't think it's going to go. He's doing his best, and so far everything he said he would do, he's doing.
Well, I
So
did see
I think we just have to be patient.
I did see something about, and I'm gonna probably hopefully cover it a little bit. Have you heard of the Great Jubilee? And it's actually a thing, and this year It's actually. Let me see. Let me uh hold on a second. Uh, so here you go. So a Great Jubilee Day first held Monday, the 26th of 1783. So this
Hmm,
year, Memorial Day is on a Monday, and it's May the 26th. So in North Stratford, now Trumbull, Connecticut, commemorated the end of fighting in the American Revolution. The celebration included feasting, prayer, speeches, toasts, and two companies of the North Stratford militia performing maneuvers with cannon discharges, and was one of the first documented celebrations following the War for Independence, and continued as a day of decoration and today as Memorial Day with prayer services and parades.
hmm,
And then you had a reverend.
interesting.
So think about this. Uh, oh, so the following toasts were given: United States and Congress assemble, Washington. Uh, the Navy's going to celebrate its 250th birthday too, as well as
Yep,
the Army.
yep,
Uh,
pretty amazing.
so, and you think about, it's probably you gotta ask yourself, is it tied into the great parade that President Trump is wanting to do on
Oh yes, that's on June 14th,
mm-hmm,
Flag Day.
or July the 14th? Is it June the 14th or July the 14th?
June. I think it's June.
So think about that. So if we have from Memorial Day to June the 14th, who knows what's going to happen? think his the Saudi the Middle East tour he's doing right now is significant too. It probably has something to do with all that.
It might. Yeah, there's some interesting things happening. And did you see the um art he put up in his golf club?
Uh-uh.
There's a painting of him and one of his older sons, Eric and Junior, and I think an eagle with a flag, and then over his left shoulder is a Q.
Oh, I
And
think
it's
I heard
big.
about.
It's on,
I
yeah, you're not going to miss it.
I think I heard something about it, but I don't think uh but I don't remember. But you know, to think about he got another sword dance. And you know what's
Mhm.
crazy is these people that sit there and say, "Oh, he's lying. He's selling out to our enemies." It's like, wait a minute. We people talk about wanting world peace, but yet
Yeah.
you got to start somewhere. You
He
know?
he's definitely, yes, he's doing that. And he, like I said to somebody today, he's getting the Middle East lined up, and there are allies, and it's he's getting them. And remember, he told at the, what they call that, not a cedar, it was a prayer thing where the Muslims, it really made me mad because that dingling bobblehead bimbo blonde Paula White was there and bobbling her head to the Muslims. But the Muslims were there, the Jews were there, the Christians were there, and they each, they all said a prayer. Um, but he told at the ceremony, he told the Muslim guy, he says, "I'm going to make you very strong." And I'm like, "Oh, geez, don't be saying that. Don't be saying that." But this is part of it, getting their Middle East area strong. That helps keeps China out and it keeps Russia out. And they like that because they want to be autonomous, like every nation does, but they're grouping together. And also, as long as they are our allies, rogue elements of Muslims, if they pull any crap in the United States, these people will come after them. So I don't think we're going to have to worry too much because remember, the Iron Dome system he wants is for attack from the outside, not from the inside. So I have a feeling that he plans on using these guys as a way of keeping the cells that are here under control, possibly deported. I don't know if they'll leave, but they're here. They're like little ticking time bombs. But it helps us be stronger. We have our alliances with them because that's a big pack. That's a really big area. And you've got Russia and China have been aligned for decades. They just don't tell people about it. They've been doing military maneuvers together for at least 40 years. And oh, you found it? Marcia found the Q picture.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
Oh, yeah. Interesting, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Marcia. Excuse me. Yeah, but I think it's done strategically. Nothing he does is by accident. And he's going to make them he's going to help make them wealthy, and also if they like him, they will leave Israel alone too. And that will help keep peace in the Middle East. That might even be what brokers the peace deal between Israel and Palestine, is some of what's going on now, because he did admit 4 or 5 years ago that the reason that they were making all these little deals on the side with these other nations in the Middle East was because they were trying to get Palestine to trust them enough to sign a peace deal with Israel. Israel's always been ready to do it. They just want peace. They're like, yeah, yeah, we'll sign it, we'll sign it. But the Palestinians have been the ones dragging their feet on it. And I remember on the night of it was the night before the election in 2020, the whole family got out on stage and he said, "Wow, Eric's here." He says, or no, he said, that wasn't Eric, it was Ivanka's husband, Jared. He said, "Jared's here." He says, "That's really weird." He says, "He flies around on that plane." He says, "He never comes off because he's working constantly on that peace deal for Israel and Palestine." I remember him saying that. So Jared's been working on brokering that. So there is that is in the works. I don't know where it's at now. I haven't heard him say a peep about it in 5 years, but um, there are things going on, and I do think that this stuff going on with Saudi Arabia, it's all Q stuff. If you go look at the Q stuff, it talks about it, what's going on. Alice in Wonderland and Bloody Wonderland and all that stuff, like what's his name? AWK was talking about. But I think it's definitely aligning, and they see him as an equal, if not a superior, by the way they treated him when he was there. More, it was even more so this time than it was last time he was there. So it's all part of a plan, and it'll help
Well,
keep Russia and China in check to some degree.
well, remember last time it was a capitulate, they can't say the word, capitulated. It was a
Yeah,
capitulation tour where they were showing. Yeah, that's what I don't understand. How people cannot see when these people, when you got foreign dignitaries, foreign leaders that are actually deferring to him, and no other
yeah,
U.S. president, and
it's
people want to
fascinating.
say that, and people want to say that he's stupid, he's incompetent, and I'm like, he's
They have no
corrupt,
idea.
he's lining his pocket. I was like, wake up. I was like, you can't be real. You know, you're either getting paid or
Well,
you're
they hear that
lying.
on the news. That's all fed to their little uh booster brains. It's all been fed to them by the TV, the black box in their house. He had them flying American flags. He had them playing uh Proud to be American. He also had them play the YMCA song. He didn't do that. They did that for him because it was always at his rallies.
Well,
So it's
it
kind of
was
interesting.
it was their way of honoring the United States and
Yes.
honoring of the American. I mean, did they ever do that for Biden?
No.
Of course,
No,
if
and
it's
they don't do it for anybody but him that I've seen. It's so he's special, and he has helped them. I mean, eh, and you can see by the way the king of Saudi Arabia treated him, met him at the bottom of the stairs off of his plane, shook his hands, and stood there. I mean, and when he left him the same way. They shook hands, and you could tell that guy didn't want Trump to go. It was really interesting. He really likes him. I think they're fairly good friends. Um, but it's just the way they treated him with very much with this almost like he was their king, which
and
I
that's
thought
the
was
thing.
rather fascinating.
But you know what? And this is something that again I've heard too, by the same person, uh, and supposedly, allegedly, President Trump has the bloodline. He is of the lineage of King David, so he has a royal bloodline. Like I said,
Hmm.
allegedly,
He could be. He could
and
be. Yeah, I don't know. I know he's half Scottish. I don't know what the other side, but everything's so convoluted anymore that some of that stuff is lost to, you can tell by eye color sometimes. I was just looking into that the other day about eye color and where that eye color comes from in different parts of the world.
well,
But yeah, it's interesting.
and gosh, and I think it was Barb again. It was Barb and Don Fitchy. I think on Monday they were playing this video, and it was an interview by a 12-year-old girl who did she's doing a project at school, and she started looking into the genealogy of some of the past presidents, and she said that every single president from George Washington, I don't know where she stopped. I don't know if she went all the way to Obama, but except for Martin Van Buren, every president were of royal blood.
Yeah, that's been around for a long time. That I remember
Yeah,
hearing about that back in the 80s.
yeah, but
That
uh,
was
I can't
um,
remember who she said that they could trace their bloodline to what royal. Uh, that would include Madison, Monroe, Washington, Adams, Was
I'd like to see more,
heresy.
more information on that just to make sure it's true because it's kind of like an urban legend, really.
Well, you think
Because
about
that
it.
came out, I'm trying to think, they said there were like five or six that weren't related, and then Obama was through a different line. And it's like, I remember hearing about this years ago, and then when Obama popped on the scene, they did it again. But it's so it's like it's more urban legend. I've never seen anything really concrete about it,
Hmm. Well, that reminds
but
me
it's
of when
possible. I don't know.
I mean, that reminds me of when my dad and I went to listen to a speaker at a church, and this was back in the 90s. This would have been around Clinton, when Clinton was on the scene. And he made the comment that, and he was even talking about Kennedy, every single president were members of the Skull and Bones, the secret society of the Skull and Bones, except for one president. Would you like to take a stab who it was?
When was this? Oh, it was in the 90s.
Oh, well, this would have been from, yeah, he said this would have been in the 90s and up until Clinton. Okay, so go. So he said, and he was including Kennedy in this statement. He said every single president up until Clinton were part of the same secret Skull and Bone Society,
So they all went to Harvard because that's a
ex-
Harvard thing.
except for one president. You like to take a stab at who that president was?
No idea.
Reagan. Reagan was the only one that was not a member of the Skull and Bones.
Yeah,
That's what the
the Skull
speaker
and Bones
said.
is the club that you go to Harvard, and it's the 322 club at Harvard or Yale. Sorry, Yale.
So
Yeah, it's a college thing. And if they all went to that same college, then I would believe it. But I didn't think they all went to that same college.
I don't know. Like I said, this was back in the
It's like what's
'90s.
one of those things you have to verify it. Yeah, I mean you can hear it, and it's like an urban legend, and as you get more information coming in, it's like, oh, wait a minute, this person said this. And people can be wrong with their assessments, and they might even have an agenda. You never know, but it's in there. Why would they want to push that? That's kind of interesting to make us not trust our presidents, or to me, it's more of a voting system issue. But yeah, it's interesting because we know that some of these things, uh, a higher than normal number of certain things happen. Like Trump has the most Catholics working of any president in his administration. At least at a minimum of a third of his administration are Catholic. Never happened before, which I think is very interesting. I kept thinking, wait, they're Catholic. Wait a minute, they're Catholic. And I thought about when he appointed the two SCOTUS. That's what got me started on it, was they were both Catholics. And I thought, what are the chances? And then you see Amy Coney Barrett, which is not just a Catholic, Leto. But yeah, so you see these things, they're patterns, and you wonder why they're like that. And we know that Satan's involved. If it wasn't, the Satan angle makes it supernaturally created. So I don't put anything past that. Anything could happen. But anyway, yeah, it's interesting stuff. I like looking at stuff like that. And I also like trying to disprove it to see if it's true or not. Because they're, and sometimes things are hard to disprove. But if I can disprove something or find a niche in the armor, a crack in the armor, I will dig there to see if things are factual or not. Because I don't like being lied to. I hate being lied to. Sometimes it's inadvertent lies. People don't mean to because they're just passing on what they were told for years. It's like always got to check things. You just got to check them and
Yeah.
make kind of fact check things, especially now.
Well, that's like this whole thing with Israel and Palestine. I'm like, I just, if you ask me, the media lies. I mean,
Oh yeah.
and I'll keep harping on this. We've been lied to so much. The media lies. You can't trust anything you see on TV. I keep going back to the ABC report back in 2000, what, 2018, 2017, where they said that, oh, we left Syria or whatever when President Trump was leaving. He pulled out like 200 of the
Mhm.
troops and left like a remnant, like 50, to keep it
Right.
stabilized. And ABC said they were pulling out, and it turned out it was the footage they used was a training exercise in Kentucky. So it's like, how can you believe anything? I mean, you look at I mean, you see the the videos of you. I mean, what was it? Was it a Q post where they showed how it's so easy to manipulate a war setting? They showed the little girl doing this in a set, and then they added the
Hmm.
background with the
Yep.
I, I mean, I still don't understand how people can just take everything they see, everything they hear as gospel. I'm
Especially, well, it fits their narrative. If they hate Israel, they'll believe anything anti-Israel, no matter how absurd it is, in spite of absolute facts proving they're wrong. I've seen that time and again, and it's getting worse and worse and worse. The gripping with this death grip on this hatred for Israel, and even knowing they're siding with people who are politically completely opposed to them, but for some reason they believe it's like, oh my gosh, you people, their hate has blinded them, and it's just really creepy and sad to see. It's really sad. But they, boy, do they ever hate Israel. So, and they'll take
well,
things like the fake pictures and the baby in the rubble, and it turns out, well, the baby was put there and it was all staged and the baby's fine. I mean, but there is war. Yes, there is war. People die. There are bad things that happen, and it's always the civilians that get hit. I mean, but that is a fact of life, and it's been like that since time began. um at least with Israel, they try to avoid, um, they warn people to get out of an area. We're going to come in here and blah, 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 leave. And they warn people about it. I don't know. Does Putin do that? I don't think so. Does Ukraine do that? I don't think so. Uh, it's just crazy. But people will believe the most absurd things if it fits what their uh, current belief is. And I try to avoid that myself. I try to fact check things, even if I'm like thinking, okay, this is likely true. I better check it. I know Israel's they're no angels, but they are defending their territory, and they're a small territory with a lot of enemies.
well, it's like I try to warn people. I mean, I'm not saying that there's not corruption in Israel. I'm not. I mean, because you could go back to the Bible and you could see the
It's
corruption
everywhere.
in Israel. You
Yeah,
could see where
it's
the
everywhere.
kings were corrupted. You could see. So
Yeah.
I'm not saying just because the Israelites were God's chosen people, this is the reason why they were invaded in the first place. They were taken into captivity in the first place because they were set apart to be God's. Uh, Firstborn, if you will, and they messed up, and God had to get their attention, and God got their attention
Yeah.
in many different ways. So I'm not denying that. But if you're going to attack a group of people, make sure you know who you're attacking, because
Well, God's
God's
also said that He would bless those who bless them and curse those who curse them. If you can bless them, it doesn't mean you agree with their leaders that are, because there was like Ehud Barak. He was a leftist. I mean, I didn't agree with him, obviously. I wouldn't back him. But yeah, you can't throw the baby out with the bathwater, but you have to be careful where you're going to put the baby, right? How you're going to set that.
right. Well, just be careful who you're going after. You know, make
Yeah,
sure
yeah.
you're going after the corruption and not necessarily, uh, you know, uh, make sure you're going after the corrupt, not. I mean, because God's gonna, God says He's going to bring them back home, one day at the very end. But
Yep.
you know,
We're about
but
there too.
you got to
Mhm.
be just be careful who and what you're actually against.
And
That's
yes, and who
my
you listen to. It's like if you got somebody that's constantly playing communist garbage and leftist trash and using leftist newspapers or media to push their agenda for their hate, chances are pretty good you're getting fed a line of crap. Somebody has an agenda and they want you to believe lies. Um, and it amazes me how many people fall for that. Look at the mainstream media. Some people still believe it. They still believe the mainstream media. It's like that's mind-boggling, but they do.
Right. Well, that's like I showed an interview with he was an IDF soldier. He was a reservist. Uh, the 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 leaders of Turning Point Faith, Charlie Kirk's organization, Turning Point Faith. In fact,
Uh,
they're getting ready to go to Washington. He's been appointed Tulsi Gabbard's video
oh, he
photographer.
was. He was. I didn't know
Yes.
that. I knew that that was being talked about, but I didn't know he got chosen for sure.
Yeah,
Good for him.
so the people, so I know these people that I want to see if I can. I need to contact him before they leave and see if there's any way he's willing to do a. I haven't been able to go to any of the meetings because it's usually at night and going down a mountain, so I haven't really been very active. I tried to be active the first year we were here, but anyway, so they interviewed this Israeli soldier, and he says the media lies. They was it the doc or whatever they're talking about, and there's some sort of, he says, you go to the if you go to the if you get to the right source, you see these people are living it up, having a good time, and they're just entertaining themselves. There's not
Yeah.
the strife that the I mean, and a lot of Israelis, they are is people from Israel. They're just, I mean, and he's not a Christian. He's not but he does know that God, he believes in God, but he's not he doesn't believe in Jesus. But he what was I going to say? He basically says we just want to be left alone. People have been trying to get rid of them for years. They just
Yeah.
really want to live their life in peace. And truly, up until the media got involved, they lived a life of peace with the Palestinians and some of these other nations. I met a couple, or I heard a couple talk. They had the only radio station that was able to hear. They could be heard in Lebanon, and I can't remember every single, but there was Lebanon and Syria, and they run a radio station over in that area. It's a Christian radio station,
Hmm.
and the wife who runs it, her father was a missionary, and it was see if I remember the story correctly. The Lebanese leader came to him, and of course he's not a Christian, but he came to her father or her anyway. He approached them about having this radio station.
Hmm.
So go
Really
figure.
interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, and you think about it, Obama was part of what stirred up that whole Middle East garbage. He and Hillary Clinton. Because there were, they had Palestinians, Muslims living in Jerusalem and in Israel. And every once in a while, you'd see a suicide vest going off here and there, but that was during Obama's time. He stirred all kinds of garbage up there and just pretty much wrecked the area. It was very sad. The whole thing had to happen because we're coming to a head during the time of Jacob's trouble when Israel stands alone against its enemies. Uh, and it's designed that way. God has it designed that way because he is going to protect them against the entire planet coming against them, this little tiny patch of land. And it's done supernaturally so that the Jews come back to him. They start looking at him because, right now I can't believe how many atheist Jews there are out there. That So Be It channel, a lot of the people they approach don't have any faith at all in anything, and so God's going to get their attention when the world comes up against them, and God steps up and protects them. And they get to see, and that's all by design. So that's God's beginning of pulling them back into under his wings. So yeah, it's a terrible time for them. They lose 2/3 of their people die during that time, that during the tribulation.
Oh, and it's probably, and I'm sure it's going to get the world's attention too when they see that Israel is just how much God is protecting them. But I mean, you
Mm.
think about it, there's still a remnant. It's like, I think it was the Sunday afternoon crew that made the comment that God always leaves a remnant.
Yeah.
He's left a remnant. You go back into the Old Testament, no matter what, even when they were uh, invaded and taken into captivity, there was a remnant left behind to do His work.
Yeah. Well, God
So
preserves things. Well, just like during the tribulation, it's going to be the 144,000 Jewish male virgins who are going to be the ones that are going to be uh, doing the proselytizing, and the two angels and the two prophets,
witnesses.
the witnesses, yeah, that roam the earth. And so he does have people that will build up quickly to get, because they claim that there will be more Christians after the tribulation than before, and that's a lot of people. So they'll all die a grisly, horrible death, but they will make it to heaven. I feel bad for them. That's why you try to share the word when you can, and plant seeds and hope that God waters them with the right amount, that they miss the tribulation and get up to heaven before the tribulation, because I don't want anybody to go through that, but we know many will. Terrible time.
Unfortunately.
Yes, unfortunately. But I'm gonna go. I had 2 hours of sleep last night and I'm fading fast. Tipping over.
Mm,
Yeah, nice as always to speak with you, and I hope you have a
yeah,
great rest of your show. You don't have too much left, but good night,
yeah,
everybody. Much love. God
yeah.
bless. And I will see you guys Friday, I guess. So have a good
It
show,
does.
but Deb,
It does
have a
make the
great rest.
time go by faster when you have someone to talk to.
It does. It goes by really fast. Yeah. Alrighty. Well, have a good one, Deb. I'll talk to you
All right,
next Wednesday.
next
God
Wednesday.
willing. Maybe
Okay.
we'll be in heaven. Who knows?
Who knows?
Yeah, good night.
Good night. Okay, everybody. This is On a Wing of the Prayer. I am Deb65. I have show. My show is this time, from 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. Eastern, and then on Saturday, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern. And I am going to play my show opener, and then if anybody wants to call in, I'm not going to open up the lines unless I know somebody wants to call in. I will put out the number, but it just doesn't want to do it because if I don't have anybody calling in, after a while it kicks me out. It kicks me out about 15 or 30 minutes. To so I can't open that long. So if you call in, that's great. I hope you do. One of the things I really wanted to do when I first became a host with PSB was to have a call-in show, and we could talk about anything. We could talk about world events. I'm not that informed on world events. We could talk about faith. We don't have to talk about faith. It's just whatever you want to. So if you want to call in, I'll put out the link. But uh, I excuse me, I won't. I won't do anything if you don't want to call in. I do, something I talked about doing before, and I keep getting distracted. So, I mean, we could do some. I was thinking about doing some dive into Congress and see who all is actually there. So, anyway, I'll be right back.
Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of God, that you may be able to stand against the wiles of God. For we do not face flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against rulers of darkness of this age, against those against heavy places. Therefore take the armor of God, that you may be able to stand in the evil day, and having done all to stand. Stand therefore, having girded your waist with truth, having put on the breastplate of righteousness, having shod your feet with the preparation of the gospel of peace. Above all, taking the shield of faith, with which you will be able to quench all of the fiery darts of the wicked one. And take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God, praying always with all prayer and supplication in the Spirit, being well to this end with all the perseverance and supplication for me, that I am not both made no mystery of it, for which I am ambassador, that I fully
this morning.
In a world with all the things, a quiet whisper, softly dance. Moments pass, we feel the weight of something lost. We have the world, but your essence leaves the space. In our hearts, your love remains, guiding us through this place. We have the reach, we have the world, but your absence leaves the space. In a day with all the time, your laughter echoes pure and prime. Moments shared, now memories, a tapestry of love and peace. In a thought without you near, we hold your essence ever clear. Your spirit gives us through the night, a beacon of eternal light. Moments we find, your memory brings to mind, like a story we know. In every heart legacy dwells. We have the world, but your absence leaves space. In our hearts, your love and guiding us through this place. We have a reach, we have a world, but your absence leaves space. So we go through days. Like guidance always. Oh, as though you're gone, you're never far. Forever love, just as one. You're gone, you're never far. Forever love, just as one. In a world with all the things quiet with softly sings. Moments pass, we feel
We almost did that again. I just I won't let me go all the way through. Stop doing that. Come on. All right, come on, stop.
On the security threats first. That would be the priority. But I've been dating picture legally. You're not off the table. Prioritization doesn't work. Prioritization in the meantime, a non-criminal alien, they're coming too. It's not okay to be in this country illegally. And people hate on me for that. If you're in the country illegally, you should be looking over your shoulder. It's not okay to enter this country illegally. It's a crime. I wouldn't feel comfortable in the country. And here's what they're not telling you. Why so many non-criminals being arrested and put in jail? Again, the majority of criminals, but why there's a higher than expected number of collaterals? Because of sanctuary cities. If we can't arrest a bad guy in a county jail, that county public safety threat back in the which is just stupid to begin with. That means I got to send the whole team to the community to find the bad guy, and we find them. And when we find them, and others who may not be a public safety threat but here illegally, and ICE is going to arrest them because that is their job, that's the oath they took, and that's the law of this nation. The last administration, Alejandro Mayorkas, what he did with borderline treasonous, police officers, commission officers who say, you can't arrest somebody for being here illegally unless he is convicted of a serious offense. He rewrote the immigration law. No, we're letting ICE do their job. And when you're out of that bad guy, if you find an illegal alien, get him too. And he's coming too, and he'll be detained. We're going to enforce the laws of this country. Apologies. Sanctuary cities. So-called sanctuary cities, you'll get exactly what you want. You can get more officers in your neighborhood, you can get more collateral arrests because you forced this in those neighborhoods. And I'm sick and tired of hearing the talking about, well, we're are welcome in Sanctuary City. We want victims and witnesses of a crime that live in the immigrant community to feel safe to report that crime. That is a bunch of garbage. A victim and witness of crime don't want the bad guy. So what we want is access to the jail. We had no problem. That man was in office. Matter of fact, he called us up. We might have missed Joe Arpaio. That's where it should be. If the local law enforcement locks somebody in the jail cell, that tells you one thing. He's obviously not a choir boy. He's locked in a jail cell. You locked him in a jail cell for some reason. Most likely a public safety threat. Give us access to that guy. That's the guy we want. We don't want to talk to a witness. In fact, the victim came to it as being a victim of crime. But we don't want about the victim witness. We don't want him. We want to ask the guy you locked up. When you're done with him, give him to us. If you say, well, the detainer's been litigated and people don't think that's constitutional, is making a phone call to us before you release it, is that constitutional? Absolutely it is. So for people who say, well, a lot of non-criminals in custody, Mr. Holmes, you're not training criminals, well, guess why? Because sanctuary cities. And we're going to keep doing it. And as far as sanctuary cities, I've been to Boston, I've been to Chicago. No, Chicago wasn't welcome. Guess where I was day one of the Trump administration in Chicago? We arrested illegal aliens with firearms. We arrested illegal aliens, drug traffickers. We arrested 2 illegal aliens that commit homicide. We arrested 9 child rapists. I made a speech and that made the news. Every media home is going to and bringing hell with them. Yes, in a minute. Who was I bringing hell to? I was bringing hell to 9 illegal aliens that raped a child. They weren't turned over to ICE. They rather. It took us 2 years to find them. How many children raped in 2 years where he walked in the streets because that sheriff refused to cooperate with us? So number 2 goal of mine is deportation operation. You got to send a whole team out.
Can you imagine having a guy in custody and then having to 2 years to find this guy? But I didn't realize this was going to be this long. Of course, everything's messing up. But I don't know why I picked this, because I thought he has some good talking points. I mean, it's like, why can't people understand illegal? And it's funny because I talked about Saturday. I talked about the girl who was here for. Her parents came when she was 14 years old, so she's basically spent her whole childhood, and she's going to school. She made a traffic violation, and then they find out that she's not here legally. So my question was, how in the world was she able to go to school? How was she supposed to be able to how did she go to school for all that time without any legal papers? I know I had to show proof of residency. I had to give birth certificate. I had to give shot records. So how does she go? And so she's going to the school in Georgia, and it was interesting because Dynamix got on, and he goes, Dalton, and he goes, it triggers me because Dalton was also the same college or university in Georgia that Jeffrey Epstein was a professor, and he was mentored by William Barr, who was William Barr's father. So Bill Barr's father. And so I'm thinking, I mean, what are the odds of that happening, that this girl I mean, she's been here since 2015, but what I find, her father was already arrested because he had a a traffic violation also, and he was stopped, and they found out he was illegal. But her mother was out, and her mother had to have a translator. Now, to me, there's something wrong with that. She's been in this country for at least 15 years. She doesn't bother to learn the language, the English language, unless she did learn the language and she just played dumb, expecting sympathy. I don't understand that. I mean, it would be like me going over to France and not learning French if I was going to learn, if I was going to go to another country, right? I mean, or Spain and not learning Spanish. I mean, I know over in Europe they speak multiple languages, and you know, English may not be their first language, but they do know language, know English, but still, it would be better off for me if I would learn the native language, right? So anyway, so I'm gonna thought that was Tom Homan. He actually, if I remember correctly, he was actually at the Trump rally that I went to uh, right before I left Texas. I think so. Here we go. So here's Schumer, Pocahontas, Klobuchar, like news. I don't know. So this is the list of U.S. senators that received pharmaceutical contributions in 1990 to 2024. So this is probably why Senate Majority Leader John Thune said codifying President Trump's executive order lowering prescription drug prices would be controversial, and that's in quotes. So, so Chuck Schumer received over $1.5 million. Elizabeth Warren, 822,573. Bernie Sanders, $1,417,633. So Open Secrets reports Sanders received that much from the pharmaceuticals health products sector. Bob Casey, I mean, these are over $1 million, 1,790,780, or I can't, let me try that again. $1,790,780. Bob Casey, he got more than Chuck Schumer. So Casey is noted as a top recipient, with Open Secrets confirming significant pharmaceutical contributions, including 99,000 from companies like Merck and Bristol Myers Squibb. Amy Klobuchar, 700,000. Ron Wyden, $1.5 million. Mitt Romney, surprise, surprise. Oh, Mittens, right? Mittens Romney, 3,378,614. Mitchie McConnell, Mickey, $2,020,462. This is not a surprise. John Cornyn, and John Cornyn is in such deep manure. He received 1.5 million, but he is, Ken Paxton is challenging him this next time around. So John Thune, 400,000. So the pharmaceuticals, health product sectors contributed approximately 94,000, no, 94,842,908 to U.S. senators from 1990 to 2024, according to Open Secrets data. So there you go. There you go. Okay. Stopping the share now. I got the caption. Stop. All right.
Hi, Nina.
Interesting. It's a team.
Huh?
You need a team. This time, make it here. Winner. Winner. Come here. Timmy, do you understand what we're doing? We have a team.
Yeah.
It starts with these three people to set up properly. I'm going to take you to the Trump collection. You love me. You know, you have to remember one thing. Timmy, come here. A bad suit is an advertisement for the competition. You know that? You gotta dress sharp.
I like these.
You like French cuffs?
Yeah.
You know what a French cuff is?
No.
Are just really gold?
I like clothes with lots on them.
That's pretty cool.
I'm bringing in money with me.
Don't you have a credit card?
Let's go to the sale to win. You're going to do great. Come on, let's go.
This location is killing me.
I was waiting for you to say, Timmy.
Let's do it over there.
Yeah. Let's go.
Right here.
Much better. But you know the
Get this table out. Put that way.
Okay, fellas, bring in the case. Let's go. Quickly.
Move it down.
All right, move that over here.
Now bring in the statue. It's a mess. What is that mess? Clean.
Timmy, these cookies, we got to do better. Bring in the Trump cookies.
Timmy, could I get your counsel on something?
Get your fingers off the...
Oh, sorry,
Come
right.
on.
My lease. Do you think Mr. Trump could get me an apartment?
Are you looking to get fired?
No.
Then get out of my face.
Yes, sir.
Look at him. I like it.
Perfect.
Guys, what do you think?
We are now open for business.
Timmy, I'm proud of you. Now you've got it. How does it feel?
Good.
How would you to the CEO of one of my big businesses.
I gotta ask my mom.
You don't want to stand there. Hey, you don't...
Okay, had to make that. I saw that and I thought that was cute. I'm sorry that the video and the audio wasn't that great. You know, and of course I have problems with my you know, I just thought that was so cute. And it's like, how would you like to be CEO of one of my big businesses? I gotta ask my mom. Isn't that funny? I just thought that was funny. So, if anybody wants to call in, you're more than welcome. Let me know. I will open up the phone lines. The number again, 774-290-2200. 2200, and the passcode is 3052-773. And I can always drop the link. I got that from Facebook, so I don't know if I can share that link, but I will try. I will try to. So if you have one, some of these links, I just don't know. I'll try. Let's see. So anybody who wants to call in, we still got an hour before I'm going to have to turn in myself. So if you want to all right. So here is that link, Susie. There's that link for that. So if you got Facebook, you can. So there is the link to that little thing with President Trump and Timmy. Timmy, you're not doing it right. You need a team. Where's your team? Yeah, it is hard to do things when you don't have a team. That's one thing about Patriots Soapbox. We are a team here. So, and I like it. It's like, I don't have any money with me. Do you have a credit card? So anyway. So, I thought we would do some. Does anybody, who should we start with? Who in Congress should we start with? Should we start with Joe Biden? Let's do some digging into some of these people. Or should we go with Pocahontas? Or is there anybody I want to just kind of look into? We could do Ted Lieu. Ted Lieu has a very fascinating history when it comes to elections. So does anybody have a preference who we can start with? Let me know. Let me know if you want to call in. I know Vigilators offered, but you know, we need new blood. I'm always happy to talk to Vigilator if he wants to talk, but we need new blood. If you want to call in, you're more than welcome. Phone lines can be open relatively quickly. So, okay, let's start with. Let's see who we can start with. Biden. Let's see if we can. Wikipedia. what interesting facts can we come about Joe Biden? See, it's when she, if you go to Wikipedia, it's not the best source of information per se, but you had a lot of truth in there. It's got a, there we go. So Joseph R. Biden. Let's see. We got Joseph Biden and Biden redirect here for his firstborn, Joseph C. Bo Biden. Let's see. I'm not going to read all of this about where he was from. Okay, so he was elected to Newcastle Council in 1970, which is the northernmost of 3 counties in the U.S. state of Delaware. And U.S. Senate as a senator. Oh, speaking of which, did you see that about Talib? She has been taken off her committee. She has been stripped of her committees. I have to see that. Let's see. So he's a Finnegan. And 2 brothers. Let's see what I'm really interested in. That does not look the same like the same guy. So this is his Biden yearbook. Does that look like the same guy to you guys? Let me see. So that's from his yearbook. I don't know. What do you guys think? Maybe. But is that the same guy that we see on stage? Okay, there's the not much of a dimple. Let's see, black eye. That's a signature. See the ears. The nose, the chin, the comb over. This is head on. Let's see. Can't tell if those are attached ears or not. It could be. They could be attached. Okay. It's not letting me do it. Why aren't you letting me do it to it? Uh-oh. Okay. Wrong. Let's see, I can't tell because of the angle. I can't tell if his ears are attached or not. I mean, it might be him. It might not be. I don't know. There's more pictures. Oh, talk about young. See, those are definitely detached. Carter. Okay, let's see. But what I always one of the things I found interesting on these, as far as, okay, so early life, law practices, campaign. Interesting. A few weeks after Biden was elected senator, his wife Amelia and his 1-year-old daughter Naomi were killed in an automobile accident in Hawkinson, Delaware. Bo and Hunter were in the car. So he considered resigning to care for them, but Senator Majority Leader Mike Mansfield persuaded him not to. Interesting. He contemplated taking his own life. Huh. Interesting. So he was elected. So does that make him the first? So he was junior senator. Let's see. Come on. So you think so, Susie? You think that his face is different? You know, you're seeing, I mean, considering. So Roth. So he. Huh. So he's a veteran of World War II, and a member. This is where I find it really interesting, because if you start looking at the trail of the different senators and how they got elected and when they got elected, you find an interesting pattern. So Senator Roth was a senator from Delaware till 2003. No, he died in 2003. My bad. He was in office. Look at this. He was in office for 40 years. Look at that. Makes you wonder. So he was in the Senate 5 terms. And then if you look at John Williams, and he served for 4 terms. So he was in there for what, 33 years? No, 23 years. See, this is the stuff that I find interesting when it comes to these senators looking back, and you try to go, not worried about the politics or anything, but just how it was that they were in office and how they. So, like in this case, so Senator Roth. So he served 2003. So when did he? So he died in 2003. When was his last official duty? So he's 82 when he died. But if you start just kind of doing a backtrack, and he died of heart failure. You got a bridge named after him. Let's see, congressional service. So this is what he U.S. represented. So, I mean, look at this. He was a U.S. representative 67. So he was actually on Capitol Hill for what? Trying to do math real quick. 54 years? No, not 54. 30, 34. 34 years. So he was in Capitol Hill for 34 years. Election history. Mm-hmm. He was a junior senator until Roth was defeated, and then he remains one of the longest serving senators in U.S. history. There's where all this is where all of the pictures are. So this is addressing the press after meeting the prime minister in Baghdad of 2004. How about that? Interesting. I didn't realize he had run for president before in 1987. Good morning, wishful thinking. So, guys, if you are just now joining, this is on a wing and a prayer. I do have the phone lines. I am, if anybody wants to call in and just talk about whatever, we still have we still have a little over 30 minutes before I need to turn in. Vigilator offered to call in, but, you know, gosh, she even did, vice president. But if anybody wants to call in, the number is 774 290 2200. The conference code is 3052773. So anyway. So is there any other person y'all want me to start? We can start doing a rabbit trail and kind of go and see where we can read this. And, you know, find some interesting things about some of these people on Capitol Hill that we don't know about. Interesting. They married in the United Nations Chapel. Is a private building funded, owned, and operated by the United Women in Faith, formerly known as United Methodist Women, as an interfaith space housing. So he and Dr. Jill. Interesting. We'll do John McCain. Okay, we can do John McCain. Good morning, Carol. We can do John McCain. I was thinking someone more. I was thinking someone. Okay. John McCain. Let's see what Wikipedia says. Okay, so he was preceded by Barry Goldwater. Let's see. So he was elected to the House of Representatives. So he served 2 terms in the House, and then 4 years he went to the Senate, where he served 6 terms. So he was a maverick to break his party on certain issues, the alphabet rights, gun regulations. McCain was investigated and largely exonerated in a political influence scandal of the 1990s as one of the Keating Five. So Keating Five are 5 United States senators accused of corruption in 1989, igniting a major political scandal as part of the larger savings and loan crisis. I remember that. I mean, I was still a little girl. I was a teenager in the early 80s, but I remember when the savings and loans were collapsing. So 5 senators: Alan Cranston, Dennis D. Concini, John Glenn, John McCain, and Donald Regal. So you got, interesting. All of them out of the 5, only he's the only Republican that was involved. Go figure. Let's see. So the Keating Five were 5 United States senators accused of corruption. So they were accused of improperly intervening in 1987 on behalf of Charles H. Keating Jr., chairman of the Lincoln Savings and Loan Association, which was the target of a regulatory investigation by the Federal Home Loan Bank Board, and they subsequently backed off taking action against Lincoln. Lincoln Savings and Loan collapsed in 1989 at the cost of $3.4 billion to the federal government. Some 23,000 Lincoln bondholders were defrauded, and many investors lost their life savings. So, does that sound familiar to anybody? I mean, think about Enron, right? That's the first thing that comes to my mind. So the substantial political contributions Keating had made to each of the senators totaling $1.3 million attracted considerable public and media attention. So after a lengthy investigation, the Ethics Committee determined in 1991 that Cranston, D. Concini, and Regal had substantially and improperly interfered with the Lincoln investigation, or what is it called? The Federal Home Loan Bank Board investigation, with Cranston receiving a formal reprimand. Glenn and McCain were cleared of acting improperly, but were criticized for having exercised poor judgment, whatever that means. Whatever that means. So all 5 served their terms. Only Glenn and McCain ran for re-election, and they both retained their seats. Now, how do you think that does? I mean, back then, any kind of a scandal, it doesn't matter if you were innocent or guilty, you more than likely you're going to lose your seat. That's an interesting little tidbit about McCain, or No Name. Let's see. His parents, Roberta Wright. Let's see what her. So, Roberta Wright McCain. So he outlived her. That's his mother. She was an American socialite and oil heiress. Go figure. And including a state journalist. She also had an identical twin sister, Rowena Faye, and they were born in Muskogee, Oklahoma. Interesting. So she died for her 100th birthday in 2012. She had a small party. Suffered a stroke. So is anybody wanting to call in? Phone lines can be open really quick. All you have to do is dial the number, know that you're waiting, and I will pop on. I remember watching. I was looking at his. I was looking at his. I watched the McCain and Obama debate at Saddleback Church. I didn't know his nickname was John Wayne. Go figure. Let's see. His father and paternal grandfather were also Naval Academy graduates. Let's see. Here's a picture of McCain. I think I can see. I think I can see him. Yeah, I think yeah. Interesting. Front right. That's his father. So that is posthumous. See. Okay, I'm looking at his father's bio. So, okay. Let's see. See, I'm trying to look at his. Let's see. So while McCain opposed the Obama era Affordable Care Act, he cast the deciding vote against the American Health Care Act of 2017, which would have partially repealed the ACA. Yeah. So let's see. So who is his? Oh, interesting. So let's see. This is House of Representatives. So should we look at his time in, who was before him as senator or House of Representatives? He earned the nickname John Wayne for his attitude and popularity with the opposite sex. Go figure. But study he did well in subjects that interested him, but such as literature and history, but studied only enough to pass the subjects. He came into conflict with higher ranking personnel and didn't always obey the rules. So he's this military, but he's a maverick. So his first wife was a runway model and secretary. Let's see. So let's see, after he came home from being POW, he was reunited. When he returned to the States, his wife Carol had been severely injured by an automobile accident in December of 1969. When did he come back? Okay, so he was released March 1973. So he would still been a POW. She was then 4 inches shorter in a wheelchair or on crutches and substantially heavier than when he had last seen her. As a POW, he became a celebrity of sorts. Let's see, he was established. During his period in Florida, he had extramarital affairs. So, for people who want to criticize President Trump, McCain was no choir boy. Let's see. So interesting. So his second wife was a teacher whose father had founded a large beer distributing. So Hensley Beverage Company, previously known as Hensley and Company, is a wholesaler and distributor of Anheuser-Busch beer. So what do y'all think about that little tidbit? So he started dating this woman, Cindy Lou. So Cindy McCain, American diplomat and humanitarian who is the executive director of World Food Program. So they had a prenup. Interesting. That kept most of her family's assets under her name. They kept their finances separate and filed separate tax returns. Man, you talk about showing tax returns. I'd like to see, did they file married filing separate, or do they file as single people? I'd be curious to see how that worked out. Interesting. Okay. So he defeated Richard Kimball. And let's see, and Barry Goldwater. Yep, she did. Team 5, we already talked about that. Let's see, what do we know about Barry Goldwater? Come on. I mean, that's some interesting things about her. Or him. So he was a part of the House. So he was in office for 35 years. So, so he came after John Jacob Rhodes Jr. He was a lawyer and politician, a member of the Republican Party. He served as a representative from Arizona for 30 years. I mean, how many of these people have been in there for 30 years? And then his son proceeded. Doesn't say much about him. So, as Senator Ohio, well, I mean, I already talked about her being part of the Anheuser-Busch distributor. Let's see. So he was from 1995 to 2013. So following McCain, he briefly returned to the Senate. Here we go. So his resignation led to the appointment of Martha McSally. Interesting. So he was appointed by Doug Ducey after McCain passed away, it looks like. I could tell you, you could start go. I mean, once you start going down this trail, you can start seeing some patterns here. So Sally is an American politician from military pilot, and she represented Arizona between 2015 and 2020. So she's the last Republican to serve the Arizona and the U.S. Senate. So when did you get appointed? So she ran in 2012, but it was unsuccessful. And of course, she lost to Kristen Sinema. And then, interesting. So after John Kyle resigned, so she was appointed. I wonder if that was all contrived. Yeah, I can understand why a sheriff would be in 30 years, but our I do not believe our Congress should be in there that long for 40 years, 30 years. I do not believe that. This is how they got corrupt, is because they've been in here for so long. I don't believe that's what our forefathers anticipated, or not anticipated per se, but I don't think that was the goal of term limits, because that's basically term limits. You could vote them out if they're not doing a good job. Vote them out. So that's interesting. I think that's interesting. We've got 45 minutes. So if anybody wants to call in, still have a little bit of time. So my question, so is he is he a good sheriff? Is he doing, uh, let's see. We'll go back to Cindy or Carol. So that's Carol. Down both legs. A little sure. Wow. Huh. So let's see, they beat him and interrogated him, and he was given us medical care only when they discovered that his father was an admiral. Let's see, so he got a medal. Where's that medal? He got a Purple Heart, Bronze Star. See, I saw something here real quick. Let's see. Okay, so okay, so in April of 79, here's Cindy McCain. So she served as ambassador for UN agencies for food and agriculture under Biden. She's a daughter of Jim Hensley. Ah, so she graduated at the University of Southern California, and so she became a special ed teacher. Let's see. So she drew, let's see, drew scrutiny, both positive and negative, and demeanor, spending habits, financial obligations. Interesting. Operation Smile, Eastern Congo Initiative, Care, Halo Trust. There's, oh yeah, Halo Trust. What's Halo Trust? Well, I wonder if they've been defunded, which is primarily clear landmines. Interesting. Well, yeah. So she endorsed Biden and became UN agriculture ambassador. Much of her tenure in that position focused on dealing with the 2022-2023 food crises, largely because of the Ukraine invasion or Russian invasion, and effects to climate change on agriculture. Oh my gosh. Oh, interesting. So she met John McCain April 1979 at a military reception in Honolulu. Interesting. And he was the U.S. Navy liaison officer with the United States Senate and was accompanying a group of senators heading for, guess what? China. Here we go. Hensley was talking to Jill Biden, wife of Joe Biden. So interesting. So McCain and Hensley quickly began a relationship, traveling between Arizona and Washington to see each other. McCain then pushed to end his marriage, and this couple stopped cohabitating on January 1980. Interesting. Ooh, Biltmore Hotel. What have we heard? What do we know about the Biltmore? Isn't that the one of those? Is it Biltmore or maybe it's Bitmore that I'm thinking? I guess Carol, you were right. You were right, and she is an interesting subject to look into. Oh, interesting. Sometimes yeah, that's right. Sometimes you can find more information on another page than you do on the primary page that you're looking at. I know some people don't find this as entertaining as I do, but I think I mean, it's kind of goes back to Saturday when, I was talking about the girl, and I was talking about this earlier, the girl who, the girl that the 19-year-old who's probably gonna get deported because her family's here illegally, and then from Dalton, Georgia, and that just kind of got Dynamics all excited. Sometimes it's just interesting. Let's see. What's that? Rashid. Is it Ilion Omar? I don't know how to pronounce, how to spell her name. Let's see. Yep. So, Ilion Omar. Is it Ilion Omar? So, Republic. Okay, so this. Oh, I thought she was. So she's actually been removed from Foreign Affairs Committee. But she's been. That was over a year ago. She had already been. I thought she was also sort of a different committee too. I thought I saw that she had been stripped. That's an old. That must be an old. Huh. Oh well, let's see. What was this? 2 years ago. I thought I saw something earlier. I saw something more recent about her being stripped of a different committee. Okay, well.
Well, he's up every morning at the crack of dawn all day, and the clothes that he puts on, sun up to sundown on an old dirt farm. There ain't one thing that he can't do. He's got it all to gain, got it all to lose. Feeds his family with every seed he gets to grow. Now he knows it's a gamble every year, but if you ask him what he does to calm his ears, hope he grows, it grows. Put your head down, pray and work hard, and hope it grows. I hope it grows, man, I hope it grows. You put your head down, pray and work hard, and hope it grows. Day in that Missouri star. Well, he plans his fields with one good mule and lives his life in the crack of dawn all day in the clothes that he puts on. Sun up to sundown on an old dirt farm. Thank you very much. Mighty kind.
I like him. I like him. It's too bad he retired. That was, I think, Johnny Ray Horton from the Navy. Country Current. I like him because I like that. I like that country sound. I grew up on my dad grew up on a farm, so I grew up on country music, and I like that. I really like that country sound. I was really sad when he resigned, but I think, or retired, not resigned, retired from the Navy. I wonder if he would have, because he retired like in 2021 after the election. I wonder if he would have retired if, still retired if President Trump had, if they hadn't cheated on the election. So, guys, it is for y'all. It's for a lot of you guys. It is time for y'all to get up and start your day. I haven't ended my Wednesday yet, so I need to go to bed. Someone, stick around, talk among yourselves. Someone, I'm sure, will join eventually if there's a show host up and out there. I am going to go get some sleep. I got about 2 or 3 hours. In about 2 or 3 hours, I'm going to have to get up. Of course, right now the sun's starting to come up at 5:30, so I'm usually up as soon as the sun starts getting, making itself known over the hill. So, anyway, I hope you enjoyed tonight. I know it's early morning hours are hard just because there's not a whole lot to entertain people. Uh, and I like to, I think we get bombarded with the news so much that even with the good news, right now everything is just escalating, it seems like. So with that note, I am going to go ahead and say good night, sleep tight, and do not let the bed bugs bite. We did get a chance to talk about how I will say this, isn't it interesting how President Trump, I mean, you got people's heads exploding because we've got 50 people coming in from South Africa, mind you, and you got people making it all about race. Well, they're South African. Here's what people don't understand. The color of your skin, just because you're from Africa doesn't mean you're quote unquote, I don't like to use descriptive words to describe a race. Y'all know me. But it's like, oh my gosh, if they're not from south of the border, it's all about race. So it's crazy. Anyway, with that note, guys, y'all have a great day. It's May the 15th, and the month is halfway over. Can you believe it? Which means the year's going to be over. So you guys have a good night. God bless, and I'll see you guys on Saturday.